Hey guys, it is Dwayne here from DewyHQ, and today we've got some awesome news. Finally, on the 5th of the 5th, on Thursday night, here in Australia at least, there was the Persona 5 live stream. And I thought it was going to be a little bit dodgy at first because they were just showing just random, they were playing some new music, which I thought was really cool. But they were just showing pictures of the Tokyo Tower, and there was just voices of Morgana, and I was kind of getting a little worried that they weren't going to do much. But once they lit up the tower in full red for the Persona 5 colors, they sent a barrage of information flying at us, and it is... I was literally dead. By the time of the end of the stream, I literally died. There was just so much information to take in. Essentially, we got the release date, a new trailer, more characters, even stuff to do with the anime, and the special edition. 3 of those big titles being the special edition, the release date, and another gameplay trailer. I pretty much nailed those on the head when I said that's what's going to be coming out. They also announced a special thing for Japan only at this point. It's a symphony orchestra of Persona music, which I thought was really cool. But I'll touch more on the special edition and all those extra things in another video. But for this video specifically, it's to cover the promotional video 4 trailer. And I have just watched it about 6, 7, 8 times, and I have about 18 pages of notes. So this is going to be a long video, guys. And what I can say is I'm just amazingly hyped for this game now. My hype was dying down, but oh god, this game is going to be so stylish, so good. The game looks 100% complete at this point in time. They have just been polishing it, making it super stylistic, and it's going to be an awesome product at the end of the day. On a side note, it has been announced for E3. So I'm fully expecting to see an English trailer there. Most likely a lot of the gameplay we've seen in PV4, but I'm fingers crossed we hear some English voices and we get the English release date. So that's my little note on E3 for the time being. Let us jump in to this promotional 4 trailer. Okay, so when we first open up to the PV4 trailer, we see the protag being questioned. We've seen this scene a couple of times now, and obviously we hear a female voice, and they're questioning how he's able to steal hearts. We've had this come up a couple of times. I kind of thought they were going to reveal who that lady was, and this is what's making me think it may be still Naoto, because they haven't revealed that. And obviously, if they revealed her in the trailer, everyone, shit would just hit the fan. It'd just be nuts. Everyone would go wild. So I'm thinking they're kind of going to keep that under wraps, but it could be a good potential link there. So essentially they're just asking him how to steal hearts, and then he's just like, yeah, nah, and then he just smirks. And I've heard some of the translations and I can't understand it all, but essentially they're asking him how he steals hearts and if they should actually get rid of him because he's causing trouble. So this might be the actual antagonist of the game that is trying to get rid of him. Maybe he's like the police chief or something like that, like a similar relationship to Kaito Kid and the police chief from that story. As our protagonist smirks, we break into the Atlas logo and we hear a new female voice as a group of thieves are running towards the screen. And she's asking if our thieves know the plan, and obviously this is our new female navigator. She's revealed a little bit further in the trailer. I'll get to her a little bit later, but essentially the voice backs him up and tells them where to go from there. We hear another female voice just say, even if they don't know the plan, just go for it and just wing it. We then hear Morgana refer to the protagonist as Joker, and I kind of thought this was just a name for the Fool, as in his arcana is the Fool, but it actually might be his canon thief name. So instead of being the Phantom, he might actually be the Joker. It might be interesting. I think they might change that in the English release just because of the issues with the DC English Joker. I'm not so sure. They might not call him the Joker or just Joker, you know what I mean? But obviously Morgana calls him Joker, so this may be his actual canon thief name. I thought this was kind of interesting to touch on. So straight after our thieves run into the screen, they jump out of a rotating portrait. So this may potentially be the art gallery dungeon, which I may think it may be. We quickly cut into another dungeon, which doesn't seem to be the same dungeon, but this has a whole bunch of nods to MC Escher's Infinite Stairs artwork. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. If not, anyway, I'm pretty sure The Simpsons did a thing on it, so if you've watched The Simpsons, I'm pretty sure you would have seen this artwork somewhere. But essentially, it's just a never-ending staircase that has nothing to do with gravity, and I feel like this is a nice little nod, as you can see all these staircases all around the room. So we hear our navigator say that she's going to find our crew an escape route, and as we jump from scene to scene, we get a look at different dungeons. Again, this may all potentially be within the art gallery dungeon, but I get a feeling that it's not all the art gallery dungeon. She then tells our thieves to run and get out of there, as we can see them running down a corridor. We then dive into a redone transition screen, which cuts into daily life gameplay. As we can see, the school seems to be a little bit more complete from when we last saw it in PV3. This includes a new person we can talk to, which seems to look like a gym teacher or some sort of authority figure in the school. This may potentially lead to a quest or even a social link or perhaps a club. We then see the girl from PV3 as the protagonist runs towards the screen. She's most likely a social link or a quest. I'm kind of leaning towards a social link because if she's there multiple times, there's a high chance that the protagonist could develop a relationship with this person. We then see the first instance of a listen option, meaning our protagonist mustn't talk to them, but he must listen in to see what the current gossip is around the Phantom Thieves. Meanwhile, over this entire gameplay segment, we have a voice asking about the protagonist and his current status as a transfer student, and his current reputation as that role. This seems to be a kind of trope that seems to fall into all Japanese fiction. I'm not sure if this is a big thing in Japan, where the transfer students are big news. I know that a new kid's kind of new, but he kind of gets not talked about for like a week after, you know what I mean? He's only talked about for the 1 week and that's it. I'm not sure if that's a big thing where they keep their transfer student status the entire year. It seems kind of weird that they would. And because this is a game where they don't directly call you by your name, I think the transfer student status will stay. This kind of stayed the same in Persona 3 and Persona 4 before it. We then cut to a scene where the protagonist is running through a crowd, which seems to be a recreation of the famous Akihabara location in Japan. For those who don't know, Akihabara is a place where they sell electronics, games, every kind of pop culture item you can ask for to do with like Japanese culture. And this is supported just due to the amount of advertising you can see on the buildings, and even the girls in maid uniforms. This may potentially mean we can actually visit a maid cafe. This may increase our charm. But they did say they were going to be including a lot of side events and a lot of things to do just in your spare time. To support this, there seems to be a lot of icons on the minimap suggesting that you can interact with a lot of these stores and locations, perhaps buy costumes or items for the dungeons, or spend time building skills. We then cut to the first dungeon boss, we've seen numerous times. The dialogue that runs alongside this: cause any trouble and you'll be expelled. This seems to suggest that the first boss could be a shadow version or perhaps a teacher or even the principal at their school. This is then supported by Ryuji, who says, "That bastard's a demon." This could potentially be an insult or the fact that this dude has actually turned into a demon. And then we finally get a good look at the battle interface, and I've got to say I really like this battle interface. Each button has its own command, with X being guard, circle being melee, square being item menu, triangle for persona skills, up on the D-pad for ranged weapons, L2 for swapping character orders, and L1 or R1 could potentially be for analyzing the target. I know there are other buttons there and other commands, but I can't read Japanese, so I'm just kind of guesstimating at this point, so I'm guessing that one of the buttons is going to analyze the target. In the next scene we see another potential corrupted heart, which may turn into another boss, as he grabs his chest and it seems like he's about to be taken over. This may lead into a new dungeon or perhaps a new area. And then we are finally greeted with a 6th party member, which is what I'd been speculating for a long time. I believe this is the 6th party member that we did see in my breakdown video where we saw a brunette. Alongside her dialogue that she says, it seems to be suggesting this is the first time she's actually joining the thieves. We then cut to the new sneaking mechanic, which seems to be the main way of traversing the dungeon and initializing battles and getting preemptive strikes. I imagine if you don't get these preemptive strikes and the enemies hit you first, you will lose your first turn, and the enemy will gain the advantage. And for a split second we see the results screen. We actually see a full version of the results screen in another video, which I'm going to be doing a breakdown of in another video. And straight after that we cut into our 6th party member who seems to be awakening to her persona for the first time. She then appears with her thief mask and then proceeds to awaken to her persona, which seems to be a motorcycle that she rides. I do believe that this persona is actually Joan of Arc due to the amount of armor that this character wears as her thief costume. I feel like this would be a really cool way to connect with Joan of Arc of just running into battle type of thing. And what you can see in other scenes is that the brunette's hair is braided so it forms a crown, which may indicate that she is a holy warrior. I'm not sure if this is just a permanent hairstyle that she has all the time, but I've only seen this while she's wearing her thief outfit, so this might make sense with Joan of Arc being a holy warrior. We're then greeted with a barrage of attacks from this new member, who seems to be using her bare hands to fight, similar to Akihiko from Persona 3. This animation may be her personal critical hit animation. We can't determine this quite yet, but I feel like this is going to be her critical animation when she gets a critical hit. We then see the protagonist sliding along the sand dune, and then leading into a pyramid. This potentially could be the 3rd dungeon we've seen in other trailers. In the next scene we see our crew running up a set of staircases, which seems to be the same area that was seen in PV3, with the recreation of the Indiana Jones scene where they were running away from a boulder. Shortly after we see the protagonist interacting with the switch, which makes platforms appear, so this potentially might lead into platforming or puzzles for the dungeon. Afterwards we see a traditional Japanese man saying that we've learned too much. Personally, I think this connects to Yusuke's dungeon, with his connections to traditional Japan, with him being an artist. I feel that this may be his art teacher, and he may need to steal his corrupt heart. Perhaps Yusuke's teacher becomes this way as he sees his student become better than him. This is further supported with Morgana and the wind blowing. This is similar to when Yusuke summons his persona for the first time. I'll throw up another comparison image here. And then a female voice calls for Futaba, asking if she can hack it. We then see our 7th party member, which is our navigator, Futaba. This is the only new member we have a name for. She then proceeds to say she will only save the group this time, as she begins to type on a laptop. We then see a green UFO, which is actually Futaba's persona, as the protagonist and Ryuji are surprised with its sudden appearance. We then cut to Futaba inside the UFO, who uses her abilities to assist the gang. The UFO persona must protect Futaba, similar to how Juno and Lucia protected Fuka in Persona 3. She then proceeds to boost our party with her special Ultra Charge, similar to how Rise would boost the abilities of our party in Persona 4 Golden. We then see how this helps the party out, as they take no damage from the attacking demon, which I presume is a boss. Upon the next scene we get a glimpse of the new Persona level up screen. We can see Futaba's UFO is now called Necromicon, and it's revealed to be the Hermit Arcana. Atop the UFO sits a little gremlin statue. This may have connections to European literature in some kind. We then see her persona learn a HP restoring skill for a split second. The navigator this time round may have abilities similar to how they were in Persona Q, where you could spend points to activate their abilities. We then cut back to daily life gameplay as we see the protagonist exploring the city at night. We see a few more options to listen in to conversations here. Based on the map, it seems to be the same location shown earlier in PV3. I'll throw up a comparison image here. I believe the dates are just different. We then see the protagonist working in a cafe or bar. This must be how we earn extra cash and skills, like Persona 4, just with a more elaborate animation for it. It can be noted here that you can see Morgana rustling about in the protagonist's bag to the right, so it seems wherever the protagonist goes, Morgana follows. Next we see the protagonist working at a job which seems to be at a sushi restaurant with a train running around the bar. We then get some more looks at the casino seen in the first promotional video. It then transitions into Anne, Ryuji and the protagonist looking surprised at what may be a boss cutscene after their corrupt heart has changed them. We then see a man after being transformed into a fly hybrid. Presumably this is to do with the corrupted heart. We have seen this character transform before in the past. I'll throw up some more comparison images here. From what we can see in the background, we can presume that this takes place in the Vault dungeon, which may be tied to the casino. We can determine this by noting the cash around the flyman and the spinning dial in the background. Shortly after it cuts to the 6th party member, the brunette, as she revs her Persona motorcycle. She then comments on the flyman and how greedy he is. This may be the dungeon that's themed around greed, and maybe this is the dungeon where we recruit this member. She may have a previous connection with this person. We then see the protagonist break into a new stylish menu which seems to display 2 new items. I'm not quite sure what this menu entails, as I can't read Japanese. If anyone knows what this menu is for, please pop it down in the comment section below, but I kinda get the feeling that this might take place at the end of dungeons and you may be rewarded for completing that dungeon. Suddenly we jump into the futuristic dungeon where we can see the 8th party member now travelling with us, and shortly after we see the door gimmick for this dungeon, which is really cool I might add. Next we see the 8th party member get her official introduction, as she poses alongside Morgana. This raises some potential questions, as Morgana seems friendly enough with this 8th party member to be introduced alongside her, and in this trailer, she isn't seen awakening to her persona before she acquires her thief outfit. This may suggest that she's worked with Morgana previously and has already awakened to her persona. We then get a quick glimpse at her in battle. Her melee weapon seems to be a hammer, and her ranged weapon seems to be a grenade launcher. After that we get a quick glimpse at what may be her special critical animation or her special all-out attack animation, with a classy adieu, as she drinks the blood of her enemies. We then cut into what might be the most important scene in the entire trailer. With the most necessary art shot, it makes Futaba's waifu material skyrocket. Alongside this, we get to see the gang's reactions to Futaba's outfit. My personal favourites are the protagonist and Yusuke's, with their blank deadpan stares. With this set of cutscenes, it's safe to assume that these clips take place during the school field trip segments, like Persona 3 and Persona 4 before it. We then get a sneak peek at the new calendar system, which seems to be stylized with a knife stab as it determines the day. Interestingly, the year of the game is actually labelled as 20XX, unlike previous titles which actually took place in actual years. This may be a fill-in to reveal any potential spoilers, or it may remain this way in the final product. We're then treated to a montage of anime cutscenes which seem to take place during special events, as the lyrics of the opening theme are playing in the background. We then see Futaba looking intently into her computer, potentially following news about our heroes. In a shortcut we get to see another glimpse of the 6 members' melee critical animation, as it quickly switches over to the protagonist using Alice's Die For Me. This is the first time we've ever seen the protagonist use another persona other than Arsene, and interestingly to note, Alice's Die For Me animation has actually changed to a bunch of teddy bears rather than card soldiers. This may be a different attack, but I feel like this is definitely Alice's signature move, Die For Me. Soon after we see Anne and the protagonist doing a tag team ranged attack. Perhaps this is a new follow-up attack that members can do together after hitting a critical or weak spot. Our view then shifts to the Velvet Twins in the new Velvet Room, which seems to be taking on the look of a prison. In recent news, their names have been confirmed as Caroline and Justine. Caroline, who takes on the personality of a malicious girl, and Justine, the quiet girl who also seems to be the reason behind the 2 twins. You can also note on Justine's hat, the letters are displayed O, Y, O, and O. And on Caroline's hat, you can see the letters X, M, R, and N. The letters appear to spell oxymoron. So this may play into how the Velvet Twins act. Upon seeing Caroline shock the bars, our attention is then fixed on a pair of guillotines with the Velvet Room logo printed on the blades. What role these guillotines play is currently unknown. Shortly after we see an alarm get triggered, and our crew looks like as if they're not going to make it, and as if they're going to be caught. This may lead into a boss battle, or this potentially may be a time limit dungeon, and this may result in a game over screen. After seeing an unknown pair of boots climbing up a gold statue, we are left to speculate that this character is the main antagonist and may be trying to stop our heroes. We then finish with a montage of scenes with our heroes in their daily life clothing, walking to what seems to be the casino. In what context this cutscene could be played is hard to say, but it seems that our full crew of 9 characters seem to be here. Providing this evidence of 9 characters, this cutscene may happen towards the end of the game. We then smoothly transition into the Persona 5 logo, and then we finally see the long-awaited release date of the 15th of September 2016. Lastly, we catch a glimpse of Igor as he welcomes us to the Velvet Room. And after that we get some prices and we get a glimpse at the special edition. I'll cover the special edition in another video. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, perhaps leave a like on this video, and if you want to see more Persona 5 content, subscribe to my channel because I'll be posting more and more. It was Dwayne here from DewyHQ. oh my god, Persona 5 release date announced. See you on the next video.